Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Fantastic. That's what I'm looking for. My name is Damanaki. I'm the Executive Director of the Global Social Enterprise Initiative here at the Business School at Georgetown University. On behalf of McDonough, on behalf of Georgetown University, and on behalf of the Sustainable Oceans Alliance, welcome to Georgetown. Several months ago, one of my colleagues sent me an email and said, I've got a student who needs some help and a sponsor because they need space here at the business school because they want to do some activities. Can I send her your way? And I said, sure, why not? That's my job. And so this young woman came to my office, and I didn't realize what was going to hit me. And I'm not sure you all know what's going to hit you today, so be prepared. What I realized was that this wasn't just a matter of giving space to some students to have an activity sometime in the spring. What I realized was that based on the pillars of what we stand for in the Global Social Enterprise Initiative, to cultivate current and future leaders to bring transformative change in the world in order to solve our greatest social and environmental challenges while also bringing social and economic value, the Sustainable Oceans Alliance needed to be a part of our home, and we needed to give it a home. And so all of you are now a part of our home as well to help support this endeavor, because we're going to be part of something really big. My colleague George Peacock and several other colleagues of ours who've been part of the advisory board have had the great privilege of seeing this endeavor grow in ways that we didn't really know was going to happen. And I hope that you all are ready today, because a couple of days ago I sent an email to one of our speakers, our keynote, who you'll hear from momentarily, and I said, Gary, thank you for coming. You're going to inspire our students and our audience, but I hope you're ready to be inspired too. And I hope all of you are ready to be inspired, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Because frankly, today, all of us are students, regardless of whether you're from Georgetown University, another university, or not from a university. Some of us, well, you know, we're not in a university, but we are all going to learn something today. And we're going to be inspired, and we want you to act. So, to get the day rolling, I'm going to ask that my colleague George Peacock come and introduce the founder of the Sustainable Oceans Alliance. George is the president of the Georgetown University Alumni Association. He is Saxahoya bleeding all the way through. He's an accomplished author, investor, and a great overall human being. George, please.
I'll take that intro any day. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. And as LaDon said, I'm president of the Alumni Association. And for me to see the students behind this activity and everything that they've done since the idea came about is amazing, because, as anyone knows, the students are really the lifeblood of any alumni association. And this issue is so important. We were out in, the Georgetown community was out in Los Angeles last weekend for a major awards weekend, the John Carroll Awards weekend. And over the course of that weekend, one of the awards that we bestowed was to Dikembe Mutombo, who is the NBA Global Ambassador. And it was the Timothy S. Healy S.J. Award. Tim Healy, Father Healy, was the president of Georgetown while I was here. And there was a panel discussion between President DeGioia and Dikembe in the luncheon that we had. And one of the things that Dikembe said was that in his former home of the Republic of the Congo, there was a saying, and it's a saying I think that we've all heard, but he was saying it from, you know, where it originally came from: it takes a village. And obviously, in issues like this, in issues of climate change and issues of the ocean, it takes a global village. but anything that takes a village also probably takes, from time to time, a person, a leader, somebody to jumpstart something. And so it's my privilege today to introduce the founder and your host of the Ocean Sustainability Summit. And I just want to just give you some quick background, because the story to me is instructive to all of us in how we can make a difference as individuals by joining collective movements, but also by taking things on to ourselves and running with them. So last year, about this time, Maria Wine-Devaney invited Daniela to go to the UN and see how the UN works, and she went. And I don't know if she knew what she was getting into or what to expect. But there she heard about the dire straits of the oceans and what was happening and what needed to be done and what the UN was doing and what the UN hoped to do. Great, fine. I read Discover magazine, Scientific American, and so I know these things too. But I don't get back on the train and then start writing about the summit I'm going to put together, which is what Daniela did immediately. He said, something needs to be done. We're going to have a summit. We're going to get all the schools, and we're going to really charge millennials to act. So she got back and got in touch with me. We had met at our board retreat for the Alumni Association and said, I'd really like to put together a summit. I said, oh, that's great, fantastic, how can we help? She said, well, do you know Bill Clinton? So he's shooting high. And I said, no, but I'll see, maybe we could get him something. And so an hour later, I had a draft of a letter. Could you review this letter to Bill Clinton? So she shot high, and I think that that's instructive to me, because we have the most remarkable panel here today. And so I just want to thank Daniela for all she's done and all the other students who've been a part of this. And I want to bring Daniela to the stage to talk to you all and welcome the founder and the impetus behind this summit today.
Thank you, George, for that amazing, kind introduction. I will not be using the podium because short size, but I get a better look of everyone here. I am just so happy to see everyone here today. It is an honor and inspiration for us to have you here. So officially, welcome to the 2015 Sustainable Ocean Summit. Before we begin, I do want to start by thanking all the incredible people that help make this event possible, starting with our advisory board. Do you mind please standing? Our advisory board. Thank you for your passion, your energy, your support of my crazy ideas, for telling me it's okay, we'll try to make something happen. You have already influenced our lives and touched our lives so much. I cannot tell you how grateful we are. The second group of people I want to thank today are our student leaders. And if you're in here, please stand up. And if you're outside, please come in really quickly just so everyone can see you. Student leaders, please stand. They are the driving force behind this movement. And I want to thank you for all of your energy, for all of your flexibility, and for your passion to make this happen. I remember reading the applications, and every single applications to join the Alliance, and every single application said, I want to change the world. I want to have an impact. And I see this Alliance as being a way for me to do so. And you guys have. And I am so happy and so blessed to be part of your lives and to have worked with you. But now we have this incredible event we're all a part of. And one thing to keep in mind the entire day is that this is not a one-day event. This is a movement our generation has started, and our generation can advance to the future. Please look around you. We have students from Kentucky, from North Carolina, Boston, traveled all across the country to be here today. We also have over 1,000 people watching us right now live. From Aruba, from the Bahamas, there's a list can go on, even from Pakistan. So keep in mind that you're part of a greater community. You're part of something that can start here and that can have ripples effects across the entire world. And last but not least, I want you to think about why you're here, why you made the journey. For me, it was the meeting at the UN and being inspired by the Ambassador Palau. But everyone here has a story. Everyone here has a reason, an inspiration, a passion. And you're reminded to be here today. And with that, we asked people online to also submit their pictures of the ocean to show us why they're thankful, and we're going to show them right now. As you can see here, the ocean touches every single person, no matter where you live, no matter who you are. It is part of our beings, and we are here to protect it. We are here to make a difference today. So this will be a very interactive day. Please make sure to interact with our panelists. Please ask questions. Please share your ideas, because we are all here to talk about, put yourself in the panelists' positions, in their shoes. Think about what you could do to make a difference. Think about your skill set, your expertise, and how you can be innovative and bring about change. Please keep that in the back of your minds, because today is a very special day. And to get the conversation started, to get the energy flowing here, I want to ask everyone to introduce yourself to the person in the back and in front of you really quickly. I'll give you 30 seconds. Wonderful, thank you. Yes, now we have the energy going. I am so happy to wake you up and welcome you once again. And now I would like to introduce the speaker who will kick off our incredible event. We have people coming here again from every field. We are trying to build a collaborative platform so we can bring a change about from any field, whether you're going into finance, whether you're going into the environment, whether you're going into healthcare. You can have a difference, and you will. I would like to introduce now Gary Knell. He is the CEO and president of the National Geographic Society, the largest nonprofit that believes in the power of exploration, science, and storytelling. He was also the past president of NPR and Sesame Street. So for us millennials, he has been with us a long time now and is now back to deliver the message and to inspire us once more. Please help me welcome to the stage Gary Knell.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone, and good morning to everyone online and around the world, as they say. Thank you, LaDon, and to George, even though you didn't mention you read National Geographic, but who cares? Okay. So look, I ran Sesame Street and for a long time, and you can blame me as the guy who made Cookie Monster into an icon for healthy eating, right? So he's not the veggie monster, okay. But I do like to say that, this presentation today and the whole conference is really brought to you by the number one, that one idea can change the world. And the letter D for Daniela, because I would say she's the one who led all of us and brought all of us here, and the group of advisors, students who helped put this on, and all of you here today, thank you for bringing us all together. It's great to see so many of you here today to step up for this issue. This is one that, as you'll hear from my distinguished colleagues and friends and scholars, people who know a lot more about this issue and have spent a lifetime around this issue, more than I have. But as the president of National Geographic, I've come very quickly to appreciate the enormity of the task at hand. National Geographic has been around, believe it or not, for 127 years. It was birthed a few blocks from here by a bunch of guys, and they were guys at the time, who wanted to tell the world through publishing, explain how the world works. The first issue had a major story on the geologic strata of the Potomac River. It was a real page-turner, But Alexander Graham Bell, who was the second CEO, decided that he's going to do something quite disruptive and remarkable. He's going to put photographs in a magazine. 2 guys from the board quit in protest. It's a true story, because they thought it would dumb down the magazine. So we're still trying to win over George, but we've got millions of people around the world, and many of you, I'm sure, grew up with National Geographic Kids magazine and National Geographic magazine, and of course a cable channel which reaches over 500 million households around the world. And there are baggage handlers and hotel clerks and scientists who always come up to me to talk about programs and shows that they want to engage around. We're working with archaeologists and governments on important issues. We had a repatriation ceremony just on 17th and M a couple of days ago with the government of Egypt, working with the Homeland Security, Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency, giving back a bunch of stolen, huge, iconic mummies in what was called Operation Mummy's Curse. This is part of what we do to try to bring forth and protect the world's treasures, which we have seen recently is an issue which unfortunately is very relevant in our lives today. We're working with saving big cats in Africa and doing major initiatives to try to protect endangered species around the world. Most importantly, we're here to protect our ocean. The ocean is under siege, from climate change and acidification to marine pollution to overfishing and species loss. Ocean life is disappearing faster than we can measure it. At National Geographic, we've decided to make oceans one of our key initiatives. We feel it is critical to work to save the last wild places in the ocean before they are literally gone. This will incorporate much of our existing work, such as the Pristine Seas Project that my friend Enrique Sala runs. He has the goal in his project of protecting 10% of the world's oceans by 2020. In addition to working with explorers and scientists, we will continue to document and storytell and why this is so critical to our future in our magazine, on Snapchat, our huge social media presence. We're the #1 Instagram account in the world, which I know a lot of you here probably check out every day. Our films and the National Geographic Channel online. It's a footprint of over 600 million people who believe in the power of science, exploration, and storytelling to change the world. I think all of you here today and those joining us virtually, and also the 4,000 of you who have signed the petition to make oceans a priority for the United Nations, should be proud. You're standing up for what you believe in and changing the world, just like the scientists and explorers we work with every day. And I can't tell you how much it impresses me and makes me feel positive and hopeful about the future to see college students standing up for the right things. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you one of those explorers, and not just any explorer, the oceanographer and National Geographic Explorer in Residence, Sylvia Earle. Sylvia is truly a heroine when it comes to protecting the ocean. In fact, she's been dubbed by many media outlets as the New York Times described her as her deepness. She's formerly the chief scientist of NOAA, the founder of Deep Ocean Exploration and Research, Inc., the founder of Mission Blue and the Sea Alliance, the chair of numerous advisory councils like the Hart Research Institute and the Ocean in Google Earth. Small accomplishments. Sylvia has a degree from Florida State, an MS and PhD from Duke, and only 22 honorary degrees. And I thought that's why you were here today, is to get another one, but we could arrange that probably. She's authored more than 190 publications, lectured in more than 80 countries, led more than 100 expeditions, including one for National Geographic. She just returned from Tonga, last night or the night before? I can't keep track. Sylvia is the only person I said, "Where are you coming from?" She said, "I was actually here last night." Right? She didn't come in this morning, which is pretty surprising. She led the first team of women aquanauts during the Tektite project in 1970. And let me tell you, as many of you should check out on Netflix, the film Mission Blue about Sylvia's work, and you will see the courage of being not only an undersea scientist, but the first woman in a sea of men to make these explorations. And all of us, men and women, offer her she deserves all the thanks that we're going to offer her. She's received more than 100 national and international awards. She was named last year the Glamour Woman of the Year, and December received the UN Environmental Champion Award. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Sylvia Earle.
Thank you, Gary Knell, friend of the National Geographic, NPR, Sesame Street. Any friend of Big Bird is a friend of mine. Any friend of the ocean is a friend of mine, so that means all of you in the room here and tuning in from wherever you are around the blue planet. I am really thrilled to be here. If I can figure out how to start things. Shall I just ask for the next slide, please? All right. Maybe I can just change. There we are. Just think about, thank you, where we have come since the 1960s. The first descent to the deepest part of the ocean took place that year, 1960. It was the next year that President Kennedy pledged to go to the moon by the end of the decade. And it was possible. It happened. Goodness. I can drive submarines. Maybe I can master this. That's the moon, of course, and those little specks are the places where people, live human beings, have landed. Well, only once in history have two people been to the deepest part of the ocean, and only once has an individual solo been to the deepest part of the ocean, and that was 52 years later when James Cameron made the descent, 2012. You know, more footprints on the moon, more people on the moon than have been to the deepest part of the ocean. Something's wrong with this picture. Well, it is vital that we go high in the sky. I think no image, and even all those glorious images in the National Geographic put together, may not have had the impact that the view of Earth from the moon has had on our perception of who we are and where we've come from and where we might be going, or just to recognize that the world is blue. It's blue. Our sister planet, the red one, is not characterized by that feature that makes Earth hospitable, livable for us. That's the water part, the ocean. 97% of Earth's water is out there in the ocean. It's where most of life on Earth actually is. We are just beginning to appreciate how important the ocean is to every breath we take, every drop of water we drink. You never perhaps get to see the ocean. A lot of people never do, never touch the ocean. But now we know that the ocean touches every one of us every day, every moment of every day. No ocean, no life. No ocean, no us. We now, here early in the 21st century, have the gift of knowing what could not be known in the middle of the 20th century. We now see how everything connects. The sands of Africa blowing across the Atlantic Ocean, winding up here in Washington, D.C., and continuing on to dust the snows of Colorado and then on beyond. We are connected in ways that we could not imagine not so many years ago. Not so many years ago, Earth did not look like this when my father was a kid. He was born in 1900. Imagine the difference between the world looked from high in the sky a century and 15 years ago as compared to today. It looks like the world is on fire when you fly over it. Well, in a way it is, because we are burning fossil fuels to power our civilization, and it is serving us really well. We should all be grateful for the capacity to have the lights on here, for enable me to fly here, the knowledge that we have that has been gathered over the decades since fossil fuels began to be burned big time to power our civilization. But probably the greatest gift that burning through the oil and gas and coal reserves that this little blue planet hosts is the fact that now we know it's really important for us to think differently about how we power our civilization. Because now we know what we couldn't know in 1960, because we hadn't really started measuring things like the ice in the Arctic and the Antarctic. We're just beginning to think about measuring CO2 in the atmosphere. Now we know that there's a closely paralleled link between burning fossil fuels and some things that are not really in the best interest of civilization. The climate effects, the acidification of the ocean effects, sea level rise effects, a lot of things that are now on the balance sheet. It's clear that we now have evidence that the world is changing and that the ocean is the heart of those changes. If we fail to take care of the ocean, really nothing much else matters. We're seeing effects for creatures such as polar bears and walruses, and in the other end of the world, in Antarctica, well, today is World Penguin Day. Woohoo! We should all be celebrating and take the polar plunge to celebrate the continued existence of penguins and hope that maybe they will continue to be around thriving on into the next century and years, centuries beyond. It is really, curiously, not up to the penguins whether they'll be around in a century or so. It really comes back to us. We have the power of choice. And we didn't know, going back to the 60s, and for any time before that humans were powerful enough to alter the nature of nature. But that's what's happening. We now, through our activities, are seeing impacts in that jeweled band of coral reefs around the world. We know there's a correlation between the warming trend that has been evident in recent decades and the loss of those coral reefs and the life that they host, great diversity of life. I witnessed events such as this just recently in Tonga, recently in the Maldives, around the world. We're seeing coral reefs disappear. Only about half are still as productive and vibrant as they were when I began diving and exploring the ocean in the 1950s. I've been a witness to changes, witness to the power that humans have, and also the problems that now face us that I couldn't imagine as a child. I was among most of the world, I suppose, at the time, thinking that the ocean, that the planet as a whole, was simply too big to fail. But now we know that there are some serious problems. In a way, you could say the world is failing. There are reasons for hope. Jane Goodall points out that the human spirit, the human mind, great reasons for hope. That the fact that nature is resilient, that's a good reason for hope. And the kids, great reason for hope. But the unexpected events, like ocean acidification, whoever thought we'd be thinking about that 20 years ago? What 20 years from now do we not know that we should be thinking about? Well, one thing is sure. We need to be thinking about things such as, what are we putting into the atmosphere? What are we putting into the ocean? What are we doing to the fabric of life itself that keeps us alive? What are we doing to our life support system? That would be the earth that is fundamentally powered by the ocean. The good news, I think the greatest news of all, is that now we know what we could not know. Not that we didn't want to know, we just couldn't know what is now available to 10-year-old kids. You've got the power of tuning in to the knowledge of all preceding generations of human beings, the smartest people who ever lived before I came along, before we were here now, could not know what now is possible because we have technologies to view Earth from high in the sky, to be able to be deep in the sea, to be able to crunch numbers with computer systems and to communicate with, well, if not all of the 7 billion brains that now occupy the planet, at least a fair number. That's, I think, really cause for hope. Another cause for hope, we know about how the world works in ways that we didn't know before. These little guys that generate oxygen, that consume carbon dioxide, drive the great ocean food webs, provide nutrients for the little guys in the plankton in the sea, that make it possible for the chemistry of the planet to function in our favor. Little fish need to eat smaller things, that need to eat those little plants, mostly tiny things. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was in the midst of this part of the food chain out in Cocos Island, a World Heritage Area that is also part of the protected part of the ocean, one of the pristine seas areas that the National Geographic celebrates. Oh, it is so great to be swimming with some of the great predators in the sea. I used to think when I started diving that I should be afraid of sharks. Now sharks need to be afraid of us because we have the capacity to exterminate whole parts of this category of life. 90% of many of the big sharks are already gone because we have learned an acquired taste for things like shark fin soup, and it isn't just related to sharks. We are now seeing an appetite for creatures that were never on our menu before the 20th century. Things such as the swordfish that are getting smaller and smaller as we take more and more of them. They too have been reduced to a fraction of what they were. And the tunas. When I was a kid, nobody ate tuna, but now it's a common thing. It's a learned thing. Maybe we can unlearn it so that we can have tuna swimming in the ocean instead of just swimming with lemon slices and butter or raw on our plates. We did it with whales. Whales were once thought of as pounds of meat, barrels of oil. Now we see whales differently. We protect them, and in so doing, helped protect the ocean that in turn is vital for us. Maybe we'll unlearn taking of krill in Antarctica, more vital for the creatures who live there than for the oils and other sources of products that we obtain from them. So here's the thing. We continue to reach for the stars, and we should. We need to invest in whatever it takes to explore the heavens above and to live in space and work there. But at the same time, we need to invest more in exploring the oceans. We've neglected the oceans, and it's costing us dearly. Living in space is one thing. Living in the ocean gives a totally different perspective. For me, having done it now 10 times, I realize what I didn't realize even as a diver before, getting up close and personal with the creatures who live there, that they have faces, they have attitudes, They have personalities. There's more to a fish than a fish fillet. And they're carbon-based units. They're part of the nutrient cycle, the chemistry of the ocean. And once we have really focused on the other values, perhaps we'll do a better job of taking care of life in the ocean, where most of the diversity of life on Earth actually is. So many mysteries that are beginning to come into focus that we didn't know about in the 1960s, about hydrothermal vents, about life in the deep sea, and the technologies that drive these discoveries. It's painful that this country lags behind Russia. China, with a 7,000-meter sub, and we are able, through individual enterprise, but we need more national support for getting down to see the ocean from the inside out, at the same time that we see an explosion of wonderful new technologies to be able to explore and gather information using robots, using stations in the sea to gather information that we can then explore. We need new submersibles, so that, like Hertz Rent-A-Sub, that any of you can go to the neighborhood place and get a submarine and go drive off into the ocean. Why not? I mean, we can do these things if we choose to do so. Still ironic that it was not until 2012 that James Cameron went to the deepest part of the sea for just the second time in history. What are we waiting for? Come on. This is a moment. And here's part of why. Not until late in the 20th century did nations begin to claim the ocean out 200 miles. The United States is more than twice as big as what most people think it is looking at a map of the world. The exclusive economic zones are now being addressed with new eyes. We're beginning to think about how to protect the ocean. President George W. Bush, with the largest marine protected area in history at the time, in 2009, when he designated the Northwest Hawaiian Islands area, Papahanaumokuakea, and most recently with President Obama establishing, again, the biggest area in the ocean where even the fish are safe. What a concept. So today, about 1% of the ocean is safe for the creatures who live there. We can do better than that. We can begin to look around the world, and people are doing exactly that. Hope spots, areas that if we embrace them and protect them, provide hope for the security of humankind, security for the ocean. Pristine seas, those areas that if we protect them, they serve as places of restoration and renewal, a reminder of what the ocean should be like. And when, if not now? We didn't know that we had to proactively protect the ocean when I was a kid. But now it's perfectly obvious that unless we do, our very future, civilization, all that we care about, our economy, our health, our security, at risk. Well, kids are getting it. You know, there is hope. There are T-shirts with prochlorococcus, that little blue-green microbe that generates 20% of the oxygen in the atmosphere. Kids in Hong Kong standing up to protect sharks and vowing never to eat shark fin soup. And just a short time ago, I was in China, where, again, they're celebrating sharks. It's a change of attitude, a sea change, recognizing we do have a choice. This is the moment in time as never before, and maybe as never again. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to celebrate World Penguin Day. So, Very special. We have time for a few questions, I think. There are mics, I believe, on the sides. If you want to have a question for Dr. Earle, line up. While we're waiting for the audience, Sylvia, I thought I'd ask, in all of your time spent diving and hours in the ocean, what's the most surprising thing you've ever encountered?
I think the most surprising thing is how quickly we're changing the ocean. Really, places that I knew as a kid, gone. And the second most surprising is what happens when you protect the ocean. You know, there's plenty of reason for hope, because when we actually give nature a break, there's a chance that things will recover. Some things we've lost forever, like the monk seals in the Gulf of Mexico, last one seen in 1952. It wasn't that long ago. I didn't even know when I was a kid that they existed. Even before I appreciated how cool it would be to see in Miami Beach or in a place where I first learned to dive in the Gulf of Mexico, that there would be seals there, like similar to the monk seals in Hawaii, but a different species. But now they're gone. So in a place that I'll be diving in just a few weeks, out in Cabo Pomo, Mexico, that place has been protected for only 15 years, but the difference between inside, where protection for even the lobsters and the grouper and the sharks are safe there, you actually see them. Outside, it's like, where is everybody? It's empty. I don't know, the fish aren't dumb. They know when there's a safe haven. But we need much more. 1% is simply not enough. So, big surprise. We have the power to kill and destroy, but we also have the power to restore.
Thank you, Dr. Earle. That was very inspiring. I am currently working as a congressional fellow, and I have a couple of my colleagues here as well. And it's so great to see so many people here today who are supporting sustainable oceans. As a congressional fellow, though, we sometimes don't run into people who are as informed or supportive of these types of initiatives. So what would you say is the single most important message for people to try and get out to some other people that may not be as aware?
In short, we must protect the ocean as if our lives depend on it, because they do. And how do you do that? Every way you, whoever you are, every way you can. And I suggest people just look in the mirror. Who are you? Daniela mentioned in the beginning, everybody does something. And we have the power. Everybody has power. The question is using it. We're all part of this critical point in history. Literally, this is a turning point. I'm not alone in observing that. It is an observation with evidence all around. Here's where the world is going as far as the decline of the natural systems. But we still have sharks. We still have coral reefs. We still have an ocean that sustains a lot of life that is robust. What can we do? Well, you can make better choices perhaps about what to eat. Eating wildlife from the sea has a real cost associated with it that we haven't been accounting for. We need to think about that and make choices that are maybe in the best interest of us individually and the ocean generally. Are you a lawyer? Use your power. Are you a kid? Use your kid power. It really counts. More so than some of the grown-ups. It just is the truth. And I think, again, there's evidence. The next 10 years, pivotal time in history, next 10 years will be the most important, determining the next 10,000 years. Either we'll move in a direction that will secure our sustained future, or we're going to miss the opportunity. And every one of you can do something. My friend Jackson Brown sings. He said in a recent song, it's on a CD that you can pick up anywhere now, He sings, "If I could be anywhere in time, it would be now," because this is the time to make the most difference in all of history. So, short answer. Long answer to a short question. Sorry.
One more question.
Dr. Earle, thank you so much for being with us today and for your very inspirational speech. So Caitlin and myself are part of an organization here at Georgetown called GU Fossil Free. And I wanted to ask you, as we speak about our abilities and our potential and our unique position in the world to make a change, would you recommend that people and institutions look at their financial responsibilities, especially in terms of fossil fuel investments, and how we might make choices that are socially responsible with regard to the oceans?
I kind of missed the part of the question.
I can repeat that if you'd like. Sorry. So, as a member of GU Fossil Free, a campaign to divest from fossil fuels here at Georgetown University, I wanted to ask you if, as individuals, you believe that we should look at our financial responsibility when we talk about environmental issues, not only as individuals, but as institutions.
No question about that, yeah. As individuals, as institutions, we should invest in what's going to... Listen, I heard a speech by President Obama who said, our highest priority must be to keep the world safe for our children. Well, he was thinking guns and things. But that phrase, that comment, keeping the world safe for our children, how do you do that? Fundamentally, we have to protect the way the world functions. Nothing else matters if you can't breathe. Simple as that. What affects the oxygen in the atmosphere? It's the ocean. If we're acidifying the ocean, what effect will that have on the plankton that does the heavy lifting in terms of taking up carbon dioxide and generating oxygen? The land, too, of course. The fabric of life, the diversity of life, really important. That holds the planet steady. The more we disrupt the natural systems that are the underpinnings of our economy, the underpinnings of our health, of our security, of life itself, the greater risk we put ourselves and the future at. So what is the future we want, the United Nations asked at the 2012 Rio system. So that's a question we should have when we wake up every morning. What is the future we want? We don't have to, it is a choice. And you can choose by proactively doing something with your choices, your institutional choices, your voter choices, whatever it is. Or you can be complacent and say, well, I can still breathe. There's still fish in the sea. You go to a supermarket, there are all these many things that are there. Must be somebody's looking out for that, right? So I don't have to make the choice. Well, think again. Be informed. Use the power of knowing. Don't take for granted that somebody else is looking out for these big questions. Be a responsible human being and be a part of making the future we want a better place than what we've had in the past.
Sylvia Earle, everyone. Wow. If that doesn't move you, you don't have a pulse. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Maria Damanaki, who is the Global Managing Director for Oceans at the Nature Conservancy. Maria leads a global team that's focused on transforming how the world manages its oceans. This includes sustainable fisheries, large-scale protection, and restoration of coral reefs and other ecosystems. She collaborates across public, private, and civic and the civil sectors and has a long track record in public service that helps her do this, as she has served as European Union Commissioner for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, a member of the Greek Parliament for more than 25 years. She was the youngest ever member of Parliament when she was first elected in 1977, and the first woman to lead a political party in Greece in 1990. also the first woman elected as Vice President of Parliament in 1986. She has an MS in Chemical Engineering from the National Technical University of Athens and has authored 4 books on European issues, human rights, education, and women's rights. Please give a warm Georgetown welcome to Maria Damanaki.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. This was really a very flattering introduction. So it has been a long time since I were in a place like this with many, many students, and I would like to start remembering the time when I was a student too. Everybody here is looking for inspiration, so let me say a tale. It's like a tale to you, my history, and what inspired me when I was young. So I was a student in the Technical University of Athens, but in Greece we had dictatorship, a military dictatorship. No freedom, no human rights, no information, no press, nothing was there. But misery was there, poverty was there, and fascism was there. So for a citizen, for a concerned citizen, for a student, there were not a lot of choices. So I joined the movement, which was clandestine, of course, the reaction against the military regime. And to make a long story short, I ended up in prison as a political prisoner. It was risky. This is what I would like to say. It was hard, but it was worthy. So everything that matters is difficult. And it was difficult, but it was worthy because after that, I found a meaning in my life. So I'm very happy to see you here. You are students, you will be graduates of the most important universities around the world. But nevertheless, you are here. And Danielle asked why we are here. I think that everybody is here because we need a meaning in our lives. We need to fight for something that is worthy for. And I found inspiration there. I can say to you that sometimes you are rewarded. I was very rewarded. I have been elected from my people a lot of times. I have met very important people. I have seen when entering this building that this building has the name of Rafik Hariri. I don't know if anybody here in this room have met Hariri. I had this opportunity. I had met important people. I have done a lot. I have been a European Commissioner, and I have made a real change for oceans. But even if I have not been rewarded, even if nothing was there, what mattered is that I have found something that have given my life a meaningful message. And this is what it's about. This is what it's about. And Sylvia, well, it's very difficult to speak about oceans after Sylvia, but I'll try. So Sylvia said it all. This is our planet, this is our future, this is our kids, our everything. So we have to do it. So when I was a commissioner, a European Commissioner for Affairs, Maritime Affairs, it's a very powerful position. Just imagine European Union as a country. I was the minister for all this. I made the change, and when I started, nobody believed that it can be done. Nobody. But at the end of the day, we have done it. We have a new fisheries policy in European Union now. We stopped shark finning. We have made great decisions about changing what was there. So this is my second message. First message was we have to find something meaningful. Second message about oceans, it can be done. We have to believe that we can turn the situation. We have to believe because it's truth. It's real. It's something that happens, that we can inspire and get inspired, and at the end of the day, as Sylvia said, we can change the world. This is what it's all about. So this is about oceans. Oceans is our life. So please, let me show you just some slides to persuade you. The next, please. This is the next, please. This is my, okay. So why ocean matters? I remember the astronaut, it was an American guy, who went to the moon, as Sylvia said, and then he said, well, why the hell he said this word, so forgive me. Why the hell we call this planet Earth? We have to call it ocean. So ocean matters. Why? These are some figures for those who don't believe. So 16% of animal protein comes from oceans. 10% of world's livelihoods are depending on oceans. 30% of the people live on coastal areas. 50%, more than 50% of all living creatures are living in oceans. So we cannot survive. It's as simple as that. If we imagine an ocean destroyed, then nobody can survive. But that doesn't mean that ocean does not face a lot of threats. So please, habitat loss. Can you imagine a number about that? Please give me the number. So 85%. Sylvia has shown us some very, very beautiful images of corals. But I have to say to you, 85% of corals are already lost. Already lost. So we have to fight to save 15%, which is there. Otherwise, we are going to live without corals. Let's take fish. 85% of fish is now fished at the edge, or are threatened, or are completely depleted. So these are the numbers. Let's move to the next slide, please. So pollution, acidification, and all the rest already mentioned. So why this is happening? This is happening because 95% of our wastewater, the human wastewater, is going to the ocean without any treatment at all. And then climate change. I don't know what I have to say about climate change in the United States, but what I can say is that I can show you this number. So we have studies, scientific studies, not just guesses, that prove that in North America, also in Asia, but let's talk about North America, the catastrophes related to climate change have grown up 4 times. They are multiplied by 4 since 1980. So this is reality. It's not something that we like or not, this is the reality. So what we can do? Let me show you what human beings are doing. Now what's happening is that investment is running to oceans. Why? I can see here 2 reasons. The first is that we have exhausted whatever is there on lands. We have exhausted our lands, so now we are running to oceans. And the technology, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, give us the possibility to invest on oceans. But it's not only bad. The girls there discussed about fossils. There is some hope in this investment. So you can see here, go to the previous, please. Wind energy. So 2010, in Asia, we had something like 83 turbines for wind energy. 2030, we are going to have 40,000, at least. So here is progress. Let's go to the other, please. Here is the threat. Growth in maritime sector. You can see the roots. This is 2010. Let me see 2030. Look what's happening. Let's take the other one. No, we are not there yet. Okay, let me make my case first. So what is there is both hope and threat. Human activity is, in my view, the greatest threat against ocean. Human activity is the greatest threat when it is uncontrolled, when it is unregulated, but human activity can be the hope for the ocean when it is controlled, when it is regulated, when it is science-based, when it is inspired by sustainability. So the answer to all this can be blue growth by design. Blue growth is, let's go to the next slide, please. Blue growth was a policy that I have introduced in European Union some years ago. Blue growth by design is the answer that all concerned citizens can give. And by design means that we have to go to the oceans where blue growth is, where investment is, and make the conservation voice loud and clear. This is our only hope. If we are not going to do that, there will be no ocean at the end of this timeline. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I don't want to be the guy who is bringing the bad news in the hall, but this can be done. So let's go. And if we go, we can change the situation. I'm coming from Europe, and a famous writer, European writer, said once, if you really want to go to the oceans, you have to leave shore. You have to go away from shore. So this is my message. Please try to go away from the shore, from your very brilliant future, from your expertise, from your professional qualities, and do something more about our planet, about our oceans. Ocean is a Greek word. I don't know if you knew about that. It's a Greek word. And ocean was the son of the marriage between earth and sky. And he was a titan, the first of 12 titans, the most strong titan. Everybody was jealous. His brothers, he has 12 brothers, everybody was jealous of him because he ran the game. So, ocean runs the game today. Let's try to do something about it. Thank you very much.
Wow. I didn't know ocean was a Greek word.
Okay.
Excellent. We have some time for questions as well. Maria, I was wondering, while we're waiting, was there a specific moment in your life that inspired you to take on ocean protection as a big point in your career?
Well, it's personal, but when I was 5, I was born on Crete, on an island. And when I was 5, our house was next to the sea. When I was 5, I was almost drowned. I went to the sea to swim. I was not so good swimmer, but I was not afraid. This is what I would like to say to you. I was not afraid. And since then, I love ocean, I love water, I love everything that comes to it. I love sea. I love Greek islands. I would like to invite you to come to Greece. Well, it's not very, very easy situation now. I can say to you that I know this situation because the guy who is prime minister now was the president of the youth in my party when I was president of the party. So I can say to you that we are good guys. Hospitality will be there, crisis or not crisis, whatever, euro or not euro. So I love sea. Since then, I love sea.
Hi.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Emma King, and I'm a junior at Benjamin Banneker Academic High School. And often we're told that the damage we do to this earth and to the ocean is irreversible. And it's easy to believe this when we encounter people who are unwilling to change their comfortable lifestyles in order to save the planet. So what should I tell my younger cousin who should be looking up to me with like sky's the limit hope, and instead tells me that there's nothing we can do to reverse our impact? Do you think that we can reverse this impact? And if there is, what can I as an individual do to save the oceans and make it a cleaner planet?
Well, I can say to you that this is a difficult discussion and I don't have the best recipe. But I can say to you that perhaps some numbers can be a good lesson. And I can say to you my personal example. When I took office in Brussels, in the North Atlantic, we had 4 fish stocks that were fished at sustainable levels. Now we have 27. So it can be done. When I took office, bluefin tuna, one of the most emblematic species, fish species around the world, was almost collapsed. Now it is fished at sustainable levels. So it can be done. Of course, it's not safe yet. Bluefin tuna is not safe. We have to do more, but it was saved. It's not an extinguished species now. So progress can be done. But that means that why this happened in Europe? Not because of me, of course. It happened because when I brought my proposals in front of the European Commission and in front of 29 ministers of European Union, I had behind me 1 million of signatures of European citizens, concerned citizens that have signed for my policy. And they have signed because they were motivated by non-governmental organizations, by people like Sylvia and other important people, like Prince Charles, like Prince Albert of Monaco. This is, so we can do it. It can be done. This is my answer. And it's difficult, but everything that matters in life is difficult.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Eduardo Pascual. I'm from Spain.
Oh.
And And I would like to ask you about your experience as commissioner about the NAFO Observers program. I would like to ask you if you think that it's working well, or you think that there's things that could be changed in terms of improving, because we have, there's been plenty of reports of NAFO observers being threatened in the vessels, being object of being bribery. I would like to ask you if it would be any way to improve this, maybe by going by couples, or maybe by substituting by cameras, if there's anything that could be improved.
Well, this is a question for my successor, so I cannot say a lot. But what I can say is that there are methods that can improve the situation because the cameras on the ships can work, the monitoring system can work, but then the ship is going on shore, and then on shore a lot can happen. What I can say is that we need the motivation of concerned people around the world in order to improve the situation. I don't think that this is so much about the system. I would rather say that this is about implementation of the system. And implementation, it is depending on local authorities, on concerned citizens. So I hope that the things are going to get better, but I can say to you that the NGOs can play a very important role on that. And actually, when I was a European Commissioner, the best situations and the best cases that we have solved have come to us by NGOs. So this is the path, in my view.
Hello, my name is Nona. Thank you very much for everything that you do for the oceans and for your passion for the oceans. Underwater seabed mining is on the rise now, and I understand it's mostly unregulated. What impact do you think it might have on the marine resources, and what can be done on national and international level to protect marine resources from the underwater seabed mining?
Well, this is a very difficult question to answer, and we have to work more and more and more to find solutions. I can say that for the moment, the largest part of seabed mining is happening in exclusive economic zones, under national countries' jurisdiction, so it's up to the governments to decide what they are doing about it. There are some safety regulations. After Gulf of Mexico and what happened here in the States, we had taken, for example, in European Union, European Commission, very, very tough decisions about giving licenses for seabed mining and whatever. But the reality is that around the planet, it's very difficult to be controlled. China is exploring now, giving licenses in deep water because they control 80% of the rare earths market around the world, and they would like to keep this going on. So the interests are, I mean, how I can say it, huge, really huge. But what is most important is the slide that Sylvia showed us before about waters beyond national jurisdiction. So such a big part of the ocean is beyond national jurisdiction. And for the moment, to be blunt, with full respect to United Nations and everybody, I don't think that we have real legislation about this part of the ocean. This is a problem. So I hope that United Nations are going to adopt a target for oceans and take the necessary measures for deep sea mining and the rest of human activity. I can agree with you that deep sea mining is maybe the most dangerous human activity, but this is it.
Hi there, Francisco Alvarez with the Roosevelt Institute. Lobbyists will tell you that the vast majority of oil that is released in the ocean comes from natural sources, but studies are coming out revealing the systemic impacts of oil from oil spills, man-made oil spills, and what impact they have across many maritime ecosystems. How much, beyond the aesthetic arguments, how much of a priority do you think it is to transition away from offshore drilling? And how do you pitch that, how do you make that argument to countries who see offshore drilling as a mechanism for them to finance a cleaner future? And I'm thinking of Mexico, Norway,
Yeah. Well, Mexico and Norway are very good examples because they are taking a large part of the money taken from oil in order to invest in other areas. For me, the path is renewables. Renewable energy is the future. Blue energy, we have new forms of renewable energy coming from currents, coming from tides, and it's huge, it's unlimited energy there. So we need better technology in order to go to commercial exploitation. I think that we have to persuade governments and all institutions to invest more on this. This is my only answer. And everything is coming to political will at the end of the day. So, you know the way. You can push governments, congressmen, everybody to take the good decisions. I don't have a lot to add, I'm afraid. Thank you very much. It was very flattering.
Well, I think the conference has gotten off to a great start, and we have a lot more to come. So I think it's time for a 10-minute break, and thank you again for joining us. Thank you.